Jedi trials are a series of tests an apprentice would take to become a Jedi Knight in order to ascend to the next rank of the Jedi Order.
I am ready to face the trials.
The Jedi trials were also known as trials of knighthood, Jedi rituals, Jedi ceremonies. The Jedi trials have been part of the Jedi Order's tradition since the time of the Old Republic. Before the forming of the High Council, the Jedi Academy's teachings were administered by a Padawan's master, and were actually known to be very harsh and almost impossible to pass. The trials were later on only administered by the Jedi High Council, after they had eventually reorganized the trials into 5 tests, during the New Sith Wars after the Ruusan Reformation, where they would take place in the Jedi Trial Chamber in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. Inside the chamber was a state-of-the-art hologram projector which would create simulacrums of ancient Jedi and Sith, a simulation to replicate what they would potentially face in the real world. The whole trial was overseen by the present Battle Master, and once all the trials were completed, it was over. If the apprentice was successful in passing the trials, the Master would then begin the knighting ceremony.
Your final test is at hand. Trust in the Force.
As the ceremony would approach, the apprentice would spend all day in meditation preparing in the Tranquility Spire.
Young one, the Council requires your presence immediately.
I'll be right there, Master.
As it came time to ascend into the Hall of Knighthood, the Padawan would enter the dark chamber and kneel before the Grand Master and have their Padawan braid cut off. If the apprentice didn't pass, they were allowed to continue taking the trials until they did.
When was the last time someone stood up to 5 Jedi and held his own? This must be dealt with.
I agree. This General Grievous is changing the shape of the war.
Our numbers were dwindling before, and now this.
Yes, we need more knights.
On occasion, there were situations where the trials were bypassed if the Council deemed the Padawan strong enough in the Force. In cases like this, they were considered to have passed the trials through their big accomplishments, like Obi-Wan Kenobi passing the trials through killing Darth Maul. And Anakin Skywalker passed the trials due to his heroism, defeating Asajj Ventress on Yavin 4 during the Clone Wars. The first trial was the trial of skill. The Jedi Order expected its members to demonstrate proficiency with the lightsaber and the Force to enhance combat abilities. Jedi Master Yoda conducted a trial of skill for Luke Skywalker on Dagobah. The second trial was a trial of courage. The trial of courage was given to all Jedi, emphasizing bravery regardless of combat specialization. Details were kept secret to maintain surprise. In the Republic's Golden Age, facing battle or Sith adversaries was enough to pass. The third was the trial of the flesh. This was a challenging test at the Jedi Temple involving physical endurance and overcoming pain or loss. In history, this trial included forms of bloodshed. During the Pius Dia era, apprentices endured intense skin-burning rituals, but these were later abandoned. Battle scars from conflicts like the New Sith Wars often served as proof of passage. Padawans defeating Sith Lords sometimes passed multiple trials simultaneously. Anakin Skywalker losing his forearm in a duel with Count Dooku. This was accepted as his trial of flesh. In the New Republic era, apprentice Tenel Ka succeeded by overcoming the loss of her arm without a replacement. Luke Skywalker passed his trial by losing his hand to Darth Vader during the Galactic Civil War. The fourth one was the trial of the Spirit. The trial of the Spirit regarded Jedi apprentices to confront their inner darkness through deep self-examination and meditation. This test, often called
Testing the Spirit,
Facing the mirror,
was intensely personal and traumatic for many, as it forced them to combat their inner fears and demons without physical movement. Anakin Skywalker passed this trial during a Force vision on Nelvan, where he saw himself as Darth Vader. Years later, Luke Skywalker underwent a similar trial on Dagobah, confronting an illusion of Darth Vader and ultimately realizing his own potential for darkness. Sith assassin Starkiller also experienced a version of this trial in the ruined Jedi Temple on Coruscant, where he rejected the dark side after a vision of battling his own dark self. These trials were emotionally challenging and required a master's guidance to prevent psychological harm following deep meditation. The fifth and final test was the Trial of Insight. This was the final test in the Trials of Knighthood, introduced to enhance Jedi perception using the Force. It focused on seeing through illusions, discerning true intentions, and uncovering deception vital for mission success. Padawans were forbidden from accessing test details in the Jedi archives to maintain the challenge. Tasks included deciphering ancient riddles or locating hidden elements. Starkiller undertook a similar trial officially facing a simulacrum in the damaged temple archives during the pre-galactic Civil War era. Despite challenges, Starkiller overcame the illusions to defeat the program. The Jedi Initiate Trials were 3 similar tests designed to gauge if students were ready to become Padawans. The first trial was to test their knowledge and memory of the Jedi Code. All their lives, they were required to go over the mantra over and over until they memorized it, and if they didn't, they wouldn't be a member of the Order any longer. The second trial was not as consistent as the other trials through the history of the Order. The test was one of building a lightsaber with crystals, given by the Master. After the Ruusan Reformation, the test was altered into a more self-discipline trial, through meditation or lightsaber combat with a hood, a test of competency and technique rather than skill. The third and final trial, Initiated, were sometimes just tests of solving a judicial case or helping a citizen in need. The Jedi Council on Dantooine required initiates to go through a trial to see the dark side for themselves and conquer it, to prove their connection to the Force and that they were worthy of becoming a Jedi. If you love Star Wars lore, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Star Wars content like this, and may the Force be with you.